All right, welcome everybody to our eBay broadcast tonight. So as you can see on your screen, we're talking about updates for spring 2017 on eBay. And that sometimes strikes fear into the heart of sellers because when eBay comes out with these updates, they're sometimes good, but a lot of times not so good for sellers. I think that's what we found in the past. It's like fees are increasing or it's they're doing things that are making things better for the buyer, but I feel like a lot of times not as good for the seller. I don't think this update is too bad. So if you're not familiar, eBay, they'll usually come out with like a really big update in the spring, and then they'll often come up with more of a smaller update in the fall. So they do these every single year, spring, fall. They come up with these updates. So this update's gonna. I think most of the things are gonna happen in May, the first part of May. So I just wanted to share with you guys what are some of the changes that you can expect and how they might impact your business, if at all. And luckily, this one shouldn't be too bad. It shouldn't impact most of you, but a few of you it will. So we'll go over some of the different things right here on my screen, starting with eBay store updates. Okay, so there are updates to the final value fees for stores. And to me, that's the big thing. So I'm going to click here and hit learn more. By the way, if you want to see these updates for yourself, go to Google and just type in spring 2017 eBay updates. And I believe it'll be your first one at the very top. All right. Just in case you want to reference what we're going over. Okay, so I'm going to click learn more. There's a couple of things here, but mainly just one, and it's fairly insignificant. It says that final value fees, and by the way, guys, a final value fee is the fee that you're charged after you make a sale on an eBay item. So it says the final value fees for store subscriptions will increase on May 1st, 2017, as shown in the chart below. Now, fee increase is never something we like as a seller, right? But luckily, they're not substantial. So if you don't own an eBay store, right? Let's just say you have a normal eBay account. You're just starting to sell, normal account. Every time you sell something, eBay is going to charge you 10% of the value. I sell something for $300. eBay is going to sell or is going to charge me at the end of the month 30 of those dollars, 10%. Okay. If, however, I'm an eBay store subscriber, these are what you're looking at right here. So depending on the type of item you sell, these type of items are really kind of low. Video game consoles, heavy equipment, tablets, certain types of computers, so on and so forth. Those are 4%. I sell something for $100. It's not going to cost me 10. It'll cost me 4. Okay, 4%. So that's not going to change. It's been 4%, and it's not going to change. You can see here on the this column right here. These are the new rates. Okay. So let's keep scrolling down a little bit. We've got select consumer electronics, cameras and photos, so on and so forth. They go from 6% to 6.15%. Not all that substantial, right? In fact, hardly substantial. So, I mean, I don't know what the average camera goes for, but let's say you sell a camera on eBay for, I don't know, $350, okay? Well, on a 6% fee, you'd be spending $21 as a eBay fee, okay? At a 6.15% fee, you're looking at $21.50. So, are we talking major increase here? Not at all. In fact, as we continue to scroll along these same categories, you're going to see everything's increasing by 0.15%. except for if you're not a store subscriber, like we talked about just a minute ago, and your fee is 10% usually, it stays 10%. So there's not going to be a change there. So a slight increase in fees. Guys, why do you think eBay is increasing our seller fees? And how do you think they justify it? Well, they certainly try to justify it here. It says we periodically evaluate fees, credits, and benefits. We are increasing our investment in our platform, marketing efforts, and tools to enhance both the seller and buyer experience. We believe that the current final value fees are appropriate for ensuring the best marketplace health and competition. So they're basically saying, well, we're not really raising it much at all, and that's true. Although on millions and millions and millions of dollars in transactions, that it actually equates to a fair bit. But really, for the average seller, like most of you guys, shouldn't impact you too much. eBay justifies it because I think they have business expenses too. Those are increasing, and so as a seller, your costs go up a little bit, but luckily not much. So this is not something to get too worried about. There's a few other changes here in this section. But I mean, I'm not going to go over those. There are more changes for Anchor Store subscribers, and I don't think most of you guys aren't Anchor Store subscribers. You're more like the basic entry-level stores. So that's the one thing on stores. Your fees go up just a little bit. Really not that big of a deal. Okay, performance standards. Changes to top-rated requirements and discounts, and an increase in fees for below standard status. Guys, who here knows what's top-rated status on eBay? If you're a top-rated seller, what are you? You meet certain requirements, right? eBay's got a list of them. Let me find them real quick right here. It says to become a top-rated seller on eBay, you must have been active for at least 90 days. You must also meet sales and tracking requirements and performance standards. So you have to have at least 100 transactions with U.S. buyers over the most recent 12-month period. You also have to have at least $1,000 in sales over a 12-month period. So if you've made 100 sales and done at least $1,000 in sales, plus your account's been older than 90 days, you're on pace. They have some tracking requirements. It says you've uploaded valid shipment tracking to my eBay within your promised handling time for at least 90% of the transactions with U.S. buyers in the last 3 months. So when you say you're doing tracking handling of say 3 days, eBay is saying within the last 3 months, 90% of those tracking numbers need to be loaded up within those 3 days. That kind of thing. Okay, so there's some tracking expectations. There's also some defect rate expectations. The defect rate is the percentage of a seller's transactions that have any of the following transaction-related defects. Seller-initiated cancellations are the biggest ones there. We won't go into more of that. I just want to show you real quick what it was to be a top-rated seller. If you're a top-rated seller, you get this little badge on your eBay account, and you qualify for discounts in your seller fees. Okay. Top-rated seller status is kind of beyond the scope of what I want to talk about today, but I wanted to give you at least a little bit of background on it before I shared with you some of these changes with their performance standards. Okay. I hear you, Denise. Denise says I've had a lot of sales with no tracking number provided. Yeah, and truthfully, doing drop shipping, it's tough to maintain top-rated seller status because you can't go out of stock very often. Always 90%, right? 90% of those transactions have to have the tracking number loaded within specified handling time. And a lot of times with suppliers, it's variable. You don't know when you're going to get that tracking number, and sometimes it goes beyond your stated handling time, so that can be a problem. Okay, so here's the changes. Okay, We're making changes to the eBay Top Rated Seller program to better meet buyer expectations and retail standards. First thing, says the top rated plus final value fee discount will change from 20% to 10% on qualifying listings on May 1st, 2017. So in the past, if I were a top rated seller, and let's say I accumulated $100 in eBay seller fees, in all my sales that month, I accumulated $100 in fees. Well, it used to be that I would get a 20% discount on that, and I'd only be paying 80 of those dollars because eBay valued my top rated seller status. Now they're saying, well, we're not going to give you 20%. We're only going to give you 10%. Positive change for sellers? No, not really. It means if you have top rated seller status, they're cutting your discount fairly substantially. Not a good change, in my opinion, and in the opinions of anybody who's had top rated seller status. But again, I think you have to attribute a lot of that to eBay. Maybe their costs are going up, and eBay is a big corporation. They have to meet certain profit expectations, and them doling out these discounts is costing them maybe more money than they'd like, so they're going to adjust those discounts to be not quite as lucrative for the seller. It's too bad. Is it still a good discount? Well, sure it is. It's 10% off of your seller fees, but not as good as 20%. So that's too bad. Too bad of a change. All top-rated sellers are eligible to receive a quarterly $30 credit to create promoted listing campaigns on April 1st, 2017, whether or not you subscribe to an eBay store. This valuable credit can be used to advertise your listings across eBay. Now in more places on many of our most viewed pages, Anchor Store subscribers currently receive a quarterly $25 promoted listings credit. So let's talk about promoted listings for a sec. Have you guys ever noticed that when you're on eBay shopping around, that eBay has ads for other websites? You guys noticed that before? Like you'll be looking at a piece of furniture and then you'll scroll down on the page and eBay's got an ad for like Wayfair or Hayneedle or Walmart or Amazon. Have you guys noticed that? They actually have third-party ads on their site. And a few of you have asked me what you can do about those ads, and I've always said, well, nothing. eBay chooses to put those ads there. Well, so here's the good news. That's changing. So no longer are we going to get these third-party ads from exterior websites. Instead, eBay is allowing for what they're calling promoted listings. So it's like paid advertising on eBay. So if I have a product and I want to promote that product specifically, I can pay, for an ad campaign and have it, show ads on eBay's site. Apart from just being found in search results, I can have my ads show up on other prominent pages. And so what they're saying here is that top-rated sellers are eligible to receive a quarterly $30 credit for that. So I guess that's how they're, maybe trying to lessen the blow of you getting fewer discounts. The tracking requirement to qualify for top-rated seller status will be increased from 90 to 95% on June 20th, 2017. Top-rated sellers will be required to upload valid shipment tracking within your promised handling time for at least 95% of your transactions with U.S. buyers in the last 3 months. So remember I said 90% of your transactions a few minutes ago, they're upping that to 95%. So you have to, if you're going to be a top-rated seller on eBay, you have to upload tracking information right on time all the time. 95%. Okay, so that went up just a little bit. Questions about that, guys? Does that make sense? Or stop me if some of this stuff is unclear. Oh, this is an interesting one too with standard or below standard accounts. Have you noticed, and maybe not, maybe you haven't noticed this, but if you're selling on eBay, you start with a above average or above standard eBay seller account. If you go out of stock a lot or have to refund people a lot or getting bad feedback, your account can fall into this below standard. And when that happens, this is a new change that they're rolling out right here. It says final value fees for sellers who do not meet eBay's minimum performance standards will increase by 4 percentage points on items sold on or after May 1st, 2017. To make sure you're meeting eBay's minimum seller requirements, follow our selling best practices and check your seller dashboard regularly. So, right now, seller fees are eBay final value seller fees are 10%, right? But they're saying if you're below standard, we're not going to charge you 10%, we're going to charge you 14%. As added incentive, I suppose, to get people out of the below standard account on eBay and to fix that. So if you don't know much about being below standard, we've got trainings on it. I'm talking to you as if you know a little bit about your seller standards on eBay. And then, once again, why is eBay making these changes? They say eBay top-rated sellers have told us they want more tools and options to grow their businesses. The changes we're making reflect our ongoing investment in helping them do just that and to ensure the best marketplace health and competition. So anyway, I mean, again, I think it's a bit of an excuse for eBay. They're basically saying, hey, our costs are rising and we're making your costs rise a little bit too. All of you top-rated sellers, okay? Pat, you say if you drop ship from a place like Walmart or some other retailer and they don't give you tracking, how are you going to get the tracking number into eBay? Well, you're not. You can call and you can try to check with them to see if they lost it or they can get you another one. But the reality is if you're doing retail drop shipping on a large scale, it is near impossible to be a top-rated seller. Top-rated seller status is more for those of you guys who are carrying your own inventory, who are controlling the tracking and the shipping a bit better. It's very difficult to achieve through retail drop shipping. I wouldn't even try to meet a lot of these requirements. I mean, you should try to meet them, but don't expect that you'll do it over a consistent basis unless you have a good drop shipper that's very consistent about their shipping and rarely goes out of stock. And those suppliers exist, but it's a little tougher for sure. All right, good question. Okay, so there's some FAQs. I'm not going to go through those. Other items. Okay, listing visibility. We just talked about this a second ago, but let me just sort of revisit this for a sec. It says we're giving eBay store subscribers and top-rated sellers new opportunities to help boost the visibility of their listings. In addition, all top-rated sellers will receive a quarterly $30 credit for promoted listing campaigns. Okay, this is what I was telling you guys about just a bit ago. Okay, it says removal of prominent third-party ads to elevate your promoted listings. So it says we're removing third-party product listing ads across the eBay platform effective May 1st, 2017. So all those third-party Amazon or Walmart, Hayneedle, whatever, all those ads that keep showing up on your listings, they're gone. So that's a good thing. It says we will begin replacing the ads with eBay promoted listings at that time. So it's not all good. If you're not using promoted listings, you're still going to have ads on your page, but they're going to be other eBay ads. With additional placements coming over the course of the year, sellers have asked for increased visibility and for removal of ads which take buyers off eBay. With these changes, we're taking strides to provide sellers more opportunity to get added visibility and velocity for items and to reduce competition from external ad sources. Limited third-party advertisements will continue to be displayed. Okay, so there you go. So we talked about that at length a few minutes ago. I won't belabor that. I'm actually glad this is happening. So they show you two different ads. I mean, so this used to be like an ad from Verizon that would showcase an Apple iPhone 7, and then this ad is an ad from eBay. They just show you kind of how they're going to be looking. And that's all I want to show you in this section. Okay, so that's listing visibility. All right, last one, shipping tools, it's called. So it says with new location-specific shipping rate tables coming this summer, you'll be able to provide more accurate shipping charges to your buyers. Also, this summer, you'll be able to customize the days you work and your cutoff time for same-day shipping, so on and so forth. New shipping rate tables, you'll be able to create up to 20 shipping rate tables and specify shipping charges based on more than 100 regions, so on and so forth. I actually don't think this is going to apply too much to you guys that are doing drop shipping. If you're not doing drop shipping and you're doing your own shipping, this is actually really cool. There's some pretty cool changes here that enable you to customize rates a lot more effectively, to tailor shipping times and expectations in a little bit of a more automated way. Very cool changes here. And it looks like eBay is invested into making some of this stuff a little bit easier. So I don't know if I'm going to show you much here. Well, here's an example. So this is somebody setting up shipping. They're saying, anybody in California, Idaho, Nevada, Oregon, Washington, they do 1-day shipping that's free. In Wyoming, if you're from Wyoming, it's going to cost you $5. And then New York, sort of the Northeast, it's going to cost you $10. So you can choose by geographic location how much shipping is going to cost in a more simple way to customize and set up. How does this apply to drop shippers and doing some of the stuff a lot of you guys are doing? It really doesn't. This is more for sellers who are selling their own stuff. Pretty cool stuff. If you're interested in that, you can look at that further. So as a whole, though, I got to tell you guys, I don't think it's a terrible update. I do worry every spring a little bit when they come up with these updates, because I always worry that they're going to push fees up a lot more. They're going to just, it seems like they're constantly squeezing us as sellers a little bit for an added couple of percentage points here and there, and making it a little bit tougher to be profitable. And I get that, right? Because eBay has investors and shareholders to appease, and they've got to make sure they're profitable. And it costs money for them to do R&D to come up with these great new tools. And so I get why the fees go up a little bit. They have for years and years. Luckily, nothing overly substantial here. And I also think there were some positive things with the removal of third-party ads. So, you'll hear a lot of people out there that they'll whine and complain about almost any change eBay makes. I mean, it's impossible to please everybody. I read something online today that, if you want to please everybody, go sell ice cream, right? Because that's about the only thing you could probably possibly do out there to make everybody happy. And you know what? eBay does their best, and I know their changes aren't always super positive, but it's still an awesome marketplace. There's great stuff there. There's tons of money to be made there, and so I'm not too worried about these changes. I think they'll be fine. So there'll be another set of changes that happen as we get into the fall this year, and so I'll update you guys on those when those come around, and then we'll have another spring update like we always do in 2018. Those are usually bigger, so I'll keep you guys updated on that too. Again, if you'd like to look at this, just Google eBay Spring Update 2017, and you can see some of the changes that are rolling out in a little bit more detail, just like I showed you tonight. Okay? All right, guys, that's it for me. A lot of this stuff is rolling out like May. You saw some of the stuff in June, so we've still got a few months until then. So until then, the same fees and rules apply. After that, just be prepared for some of the changes, okay? Let me just check to see if we've got any last questions, and then we'll finish up. Oh, you're welcome. I'm glad that was helpful. I'm not understanding your question here, Pat. Here, actually, before I answer anything, let me turn off the recording. If you guys are watching this recorded, thanks for coming along. Hope this helped.